Miyamoto Musashi killed his first man at 13 years old. By 29, he had fought and won over 60 duels to the death. 60, not sparring matches, not competitions, duels where one mistake meant death, and he never lost, not once. People think his success came from talent, from superior technique, from better weapons. They're wrong. Musashi's greatest weapon wasn't his sword. It was what he did every single morning before the sun rose. A ritual so powerful, so transformative, that it made defeat impossible. And today, you're going to learn exactly what that ritual was. But I need to warn you, this isn't a meditation practice you do while sipping coffee. This isn't a gentle morning routine to start your day feeling relaxed. This is a warrior's ritual, designed for someone who knew that every day could be their last. And if you apply it correctly, it will change everything about how you approach challenges. You wake up and immediately check your phone. Before your feet touch the ground, you're scrolling. Messages, news, social media. You're filling your mind with other people's thoughts, other people's problems, other people's agendas before you've even decided what your day should be about. And you wonder why you feel reactive instead of proactive. Why you feel like life is happening to you instead of through you. Musashi understood something that modern people have completely forgotten. The first hour of your day determines the quality of your entire day, not what you eat, not what you wear, what you do with your mind in that first hour, because your mind is like water. In the morning, it's clear, pure, untouched. And whatever you pour into it first shapes everything that comes after. Most people poison that water immediately. They pour in anxiety from the news, comparison from social media, other people's demands from messages, and then they spend the rest of the day trying to clear the contamination. It never works. By the time evening comes, they're exhausted. Not from doing meaningful work, from fighting the mental pollution they introduced in the first 30 minutes of being awake. Musashi never made this mistake. Not once. Because he had a ritual that protected his mind and prepared it for whatever the day would bring. A ritual called Mokuso, deep meditation. But not the kind you're thinking of. Let me tell you about the morning of Musashi's most famous duel. April 13th, 1612. He was scheduled to fight Sasaki Kojiro, considered the greatest swordsman in Japan. Kojiro's technique was legendary. His sword was longer than anyone else's, giving him incredible reach advantage. He had never been defeated. The entire country was watching. This wasn't just a duel. This was a test of everything Musashi had become. Kojiro arrived at the island at 8 in the morning. Musashi was supposed to arrive at the same time. He didn't. 8:30 passed. 9 o'clock. 9:30. Kojiro was furious. The crowd was confused. Musashi's friends thought he had run away. But Musashi wasn't running. He was performing his morning ritual, completely unbothered by the time. Completely unconcerned with Kojiro's anger or the crowd's judgment. Because he knew something they didn't. If he showed up without completing his ritual, he would lose. He arrived at 10:30, 2.5 hours late. Kojiro was enraged. His emotional state was completely compromised. He was angry, impatient, desperate to prove himself. His mind was chaos. Musashi's mind was crystal clear. The duel lasted less than 3 minutes. Musashi won. Kojiro died on that beach. And the difference between them wasn't skill. It was mental state. And mental state was determined by the morning ritual. Let me break down exactly what Musashi did every single morning. Because this isn't theory. This isn't philosophy. This is a practical system you can implement tomorrow. Musashi would wake before dawn. Always. The specific time didn't matter. What mattered was waking before the sun, before the world started moving, before noise and activity could reach him. This wasn't about being productive. This was about claiming sacred time, time that belonged only to him and his preparation. The first thing he did was sit in complete darkness and silence, no light, no sound, just sitting. And here's what most people get wrong about this practice. You think the goal is to clear your mind, to think about nothing. That's not it. The goal is to observe your mind, to watch what it does when you're not distracting it. Musashi would sit and observe his thoughts like clouds passing through the sky. A thought about yesterday's training would arise. He wouldn't push it away. He wouldn't engage with it. He would simply notice it. There's a thought about training. Then another thought would come. Maybe worry about an upcoming duel. There's a thought about the future. He would label it and let it pass. This practice is called Mokuso, and what it does is profound. It creates separation between you and your thoughts. Most people think they are their thoughts. When a fearful thought arises, they become fearful. When an angry thought arises, they become angry. They're completely identified with whatever their mind produces. Musashi learned to see thoughts as events that happen in consciousness, not events that define consciousness. This distinction made him undefeated. Because in the moment of combat, when a thought of fear or doubt would arise, he could observe it without becoming it. The thought had no power over his actions. His body could respond with perfect technique while his mind registered the thought and let it pass. This is what separated him from every opponent he ever faced. He would do this practice for 30 minutes, not 29 minutes, not 35 minutes. 30. Precision mattered, because discipline in the ritual created discipline in everything else. After Mokuso, Musashi would perform what he called the Three Acknowledgments. This is the part that nobody talks about. But this is where the real power was. First acknowledgement was death. He would sit and fully accept that today might be the day he dies, not as a morbid thought, as a fact. He lived in a time where death was always close. Any duel could be his last. Any enemy could be waiting. So every morning he would acknowledge this reality completely. Today, I might die. And that is acceptable. When you truly accept death, everything else becomes small. The fear of embarrassment disappears. The fear of failure disappears. The fear of judgment disappears. Because what's the worst that can happen? You die. And you've already accepted that. Everything else is just noise. Second acknowledgement was ignorance. He would acknowledge everything he didn't know. Every technique he hadn't mastered. Every situation he wasn't prepared for. Every way he could still improve. He never allowed himself to believe he had arrived. He never allowed confidence to become arrogance. Every morning, he reminded himself that he was still learning, still growing, still imperfect. This kept his mind open. This is what Shoshin really means. Beginner's mind isn't just about being open. It's about actively acknowledging your limitations so you never stop growing. Musashi at 50 did the same acknowledgement as Musashi at 15. He never aged out of humility. Third acknowledgement was purpose. He would state clearly why he was alive. For Musashi, it was to perfect the way of the sword, not to be famous, not to be wealthy, not to be feared, to perfect his art. This acknowledgement gave him a filter for every decision. Does this serve my purpose? Yes or no? If no, it didn't matter how attractive or tempting it was. He wouldn't do it. These 3 acknowledgments took 10 minutes. 3 minutes for death. 3 minutes for ignorance. 4 minutes for purpose. Again, precision mattered. After the acknowledgments, Musashi would move into physical preparation, shadow practice with his sword. Not intense training, not exhausting practice, slow, deliberate movements, feeling the weight of the blade, remembering the techniques, connecting mind and body. 20 minutes of this, every morning, without exception. This wasn't about building strength. This was about building connection. Your mind and body are separate most of the time. Your mind is thinking about the past or the future while your body is here in the present. This creates disconnection, and disconnection creates mistakes. 20 minutes of slow, deliberate movement with complete focus reunites mind and body. When the duel came, there was no separation. His mind didn't have to tell his body what to do. They moved as one. The final part of the ritual was the most important: visualization of victory, not hope, not positive thinking. Detailed, specific visualization of executing technique perfectly under pressure. He would close his eyes and see himself in combat. See the opponent's attack, see his response, see the opening, see the strike, see the victory. He would run through this sequence 20 times. Different scenarios, different opponents, different conditions, always ending in victory. Neuroscience now proves what Musashi knew instinctively. Your brain doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experience and real experience. The neural pathways that fire during visualization are the same ones that fire during actual performance. By visualizing victory 20 times every morning, Musashi was training his brain to execute victory automatically when the moment came. This entire ritual took 90 minutes. Mokuso. 3 Acknowledgments. Physical practice. Visualization. Every single morning for his entire life. And this is why he never lost. Not because he was naturally gifted, because he prepared his mind and body with a precision and consistency that no opponent could match. Now, let me introduce you to someone else. Yuki. He was 24 when he discovered Musashi's ritual. He wasn't a warrior. He was a startup founder trying to build a company in Tokyo. But he was failing. Not because his idea was bad, because his mind was weak. Every setback destroyed him. Every criticism paralyzed him. Every obstacle felt insurmountable. He was losing before he even started fighting. Then he found Musashi's biography and decided to implement the morning ritual. Not partially, completely. Every single element. 90 minutes every morning before he did anything else. The first week was brutal. Sitting in silence was torture. His mind wouldn't stop racing. The acknowledgments felt awkward. The visualization felt fake. He almost quit. But something kept him going. Maybe desperation, maybe intuition. Whatever it was, he pushed through. By week 3, something shifted. He noticed he was making decisions faster, clearer. He noticed criticism didn't affect him the same way. He noticed obstacles felt smaller. Not because the challenges changed, because his mind changed. He was operating from a different state. A state Musashi had operated from 400 years earlier. Within 6 months, his company had raised funding. Within a year, they were profitable. Within 2 years, they had 50 employees. And Yuki never missed a single morning of the ritual. Because he knew the truth. His success wasn't about the market or the product or the timing. It was about his mental state. And his mental state was determined by those 90 minutes every morning. Now here's where you're going to fail. You're going to try to do a shortened version. You're going to think you can get the same results with 30 minutes instead of 90. You can't. Or you're going to skip the parts that feel uncomfortable. The acknowledgement of death feels morbid. The sitting in silence feels boring, so you'll skip them and just do the visualization. That doesn't work either. This ritual works as a complete system. Every element serves a purpose. Every minute matters. You can't cherry-pick the comfortable parts and expect warrior-level results. If you want what Musashi had, you have to do what Musashi did. Completely. Precisely. Consistently. Your second mistake will be quitting before it starts working. The first 2 weeks feel like nothing is happening. Your mind will tell you it's a waste of time. You'll be tempted to sleep an extra hour instead. You'll convince yourself you're too busy. Don't listen. The transformation happens around week 3, but only if you make it to week 3. Here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, set your alarm 90 minutes earlier than usual. I know that sounds extreme. It is. But Musashi was extreme, and he never lost. Do the complete ritual exactly as I described. Mokuso. 3 acknowledgments, physical practice, visualization, 90 minutes, no shortcuts. Do this for 30 days, just 30 days, and document what changes, how you feel, how you perform, how you handle pressure, because something will shift. I guarantee it. You'll start to feel what Musashi felt, that unshakable clarity, that complete confidence, that separation between you and your fear. After 30 days, come back and tell me what happened. Leave a comment describing your experience, because your story will prove to someone else that this isn't just ancient history. This is a living practice that still works, that still transforms, that still creates warriors. Most of you won't do this. You'll watch this video, feel inspired, and change nothing. That's fine. Musashi's way isn't for everyone. It's only for people who are willing to sacrifice comfort for excellence, willing to sacrifice sleep for clarity, willing to sacrifice normalcy for victory. But if you are one of those people, if you actually implement this ritual, then you'll understand what made Musashi undefeated. It wasn't his sword. It was his morning. The question is, what will your morning make you?